Welcome back to the Plunder Den. In this week's episode, we're going to be building some native fortifications. So really this is part 2 of the previous episode where we started our palisade fort to protect our native village. So we kind of built an entranceway, some wigwams, and that's kind of what we covered in that part 1. And I was able to actually paint and build that in that episode, but it was just 2 sections of the wall. In this episode, I built 6 more sections, well, actually 5 more sections of wall and 1 ramp leading up to the 2nd level where the archers are. So, you know, it's a little more construction took place. Definitely wasn't able to get to the painting part of it, and I was okay with that. I want to take my time and get this project right. And just kind of show you guys the whole process through the step-by-step process of building this. It's probably one of the largest things I've ever built, if not the largest project I've ever built. Now, the Blood&Plunder was huge. That was a big project, but it had a lot of other smaller components. This is one fortification, right? So one large palisade fort for our native village. So it was one large project. So we're going to leave the painting for next week. That'll be its own episode, and I'm good with that because I'll get to spend more time kind of flushing that out, showing you guys how I paint everything, and especially when it comes to aged wood and how I get the walls to look a certain way. And I definitely would like to spend some time more on that. I was actually going to make a separate video for aged wood. Well, it's a good opportunity where I can spend some time on it in this painting tutorial, and then part 3 essentially of this fort, and it'll be all done after that. So we'll be done completed. That's gonna take a lot of paint to paint this. As like I said, it's a huge project. So let's take a look at it. I only got 2 sections of it, of the 6 pieces, mainly because I just can't fit it obviously in this screen. When we get down to the table and see it at the very end of the video, I do a good, you know, like I usually do, I do a good pass through the entire fort so you guys can see all the different elements. But let's take a look at the 2 sections. So this is one section of the wall. You can see I've added some stilts on here. We got a 2nd level up here. And then we kind of bulk up the bottom, and we add some stones to make this really stable, and it's a good solid piece now. Now the ramp that I was kind of talking about, it leads up to the 2nd level, and that's another component that we're going to be building. And then all the other sections, 3 other sections of wall, and then there's the 2 sections that are by the entranceway. And so they're a little different because they don't have a walkway that goes all the way around it. It's kind of more of kind of like a gate, but not really. It's just the entranceway. But they have these kind of guard towers in here with a ladder to get to the upper level here, where you can still protect the top from above. So we got a couple of sections like that. So I just wanted to show you guys a brief overview of what we're going to be constructing in this episode. All right, if you like what we're doing here in the Plunder Den, make sure you smash that like button and consider subscribing to the Plunder Den and get first-hand information when I start these kind of projects. All right, Ron, let's get down to the table and let's start crafting. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the supplies I used for this project. So there's that willow fencing I got from the dollar store. Definitely most of this project is made out of that willow fencing. I got some hobby twine here. We got some regular twine. And we got assorted balsa wood dowels in my bag of bits of wood, some coffee stir sticks. So I didn't use a lot of the regular wood, even though I'm showing you all these pieces. I ended up using mostly just the willow fence. And then there's some dollar store foam board that we're going to use for our bases. So I started off by kind of just planning the entire project out, and this actually took quite some time. I ended up spending a whole day just trying to figure out what I was going to do here. I had to enlist the help of Nagala Joseph to help me out with deciding which way this would look right. I had asked for some advice to kind of set out the layout of this particular fortification. So then I decided to clip them into sections, similar to the Firelock Games palisade fort that you can get for the European nations. It's cut up in sections. So I decided to cut it into 5 sections. Of course, there's 2 sections I already had. And then I decided to trace them onto the dollar store foam board. And that's really just essentially making bases for these guys. Now, the first 2 pieces I built, if you remember in the first episode, I already had painted them black. And I wish I would have done that on this one, even though it didn't really ruin it that much. But I would suggest painting the dollar store foam board first black with black craft paint, let it dry, then glue the willow fencing to it. It's a lot more sturdier once you add the craft paint. So I'm just showing you that I intend to hot glue all of it. So this is after I've added the hot glue to it. And essentially what happened was it kind of lifted some of the paper off. I ended up having to use some white glue. But, I fixed it. It's just an extra step. And then I need to move this metal binding. I decided to keep the metal binding on the fence as the first pieces I built. It just holds them together better, and I just painted it to make it look more like rope, so I wanted to keep it on there, and so the fence would keep its shape. So I decided to do that, and also I had to move it down because I need to cut this fence down. So there's my little clippers, and I'm going to clip a layer off the tops here. So I kind of matched up the corner there, and then I used my metal ruler here. I'm just kind of showing you that I use that to pull that metal binding down. And I did that on all the fences first before I started snipping away there. I just moved that metal binding down first. So once that was all done, I decided to build little shelves for the upper level. So I kind of wanted a frame that everything's going to sit on. And of course, as usual, I used my mini. And I kind of just want that archer just to be just a little bit over top of one of the posts. And then I hot glued that frame in, and I went all the way around the fortification, except for the pieces that I've already built, and I left some of the areas at the 2 entranceways a little free, because we're going to do a little something different there, and I'll explain that in a minute. So this is after I've glued them on. You can see we've got kind of a framework going on there, and I kind of had to cut them into sections so I can get around the bend. So then I made a second duplicate, essentially a timber here, and I'm going to put it on where the shelf is going to be. So I kind of use the base as kind of 2 of the Firelock Games miniatures deep, maybe a little bit longer. And then I decided to use that one frame to glue them all together. So first I used white tacky glue and then glued all the individual sticks together. And then I used one of the long timber there as my frame. I hot glued that on. Really, I just let it dry for about 10-15 minutes, and it was pretty solid, and I glued it to the rest of the fence. Then I let it dry overnight, and it was pretty solid. So then I also added, you can see those support beams underneath. I just hot glued those on just to give it a little more strength and believability, let's put it that way, because they would have some supports there on that fence to hold up the next level. So then I'm just showing you I'm kind of going to do that through the entire fort. So then I decided to add a little more strength to the bottom, maybe not so much strength, but weight, so it's not so tippy. After I added these stones on it really added a lot to it. So I did a mixture of stones and foam stones, and then I added more smaller pieces of those timbers on the bottom, just so it doesn't look so open on the bottom, and I just kind of made an extra layer of a wall. So this is one of the entranceway pieces, and I kind of made a small little tower that I decided to build on that way. And I added this kind of stairs or ladder, leading up to that second level. Kind of like a little bit tower there to protect the entranceway to the fort. And I just added some stones, the same as the other ones, just to add a little more weight to the bottom as well. And then this is the other side of the entranceway. I added another two-way ladder kind of thing going on both platforms on either side. So those are going to be at the entranceways. Then I'm showing you, again, I'm going to cut smaller bits of that willow fence and glue them, and just so you can't see the base open so much. You can see I added some foam stones, regular stones, just kind of a mixture of the two on the bases on those. Those other larger pieces I put on just purely as decorative. Just add some aesthetic look to it. So now I'm going to build the ramp leading up to the second floor. So this was kind of a tricky thing. I was deciding how I was going to do that. So I kind of measured the distance from the ground to the upper level. And then that's kind of, I knew I had to fit the ramp within that level. And I kind of wanted to have it not too much of an incline, because then I won't be able to walk my minis up the side of it. So I cut it into 3 different sections. So I made 3 ramps. Now, for the most part, the fortifications that I'm building didn't have stairwells. They had more of a ramp. So, but I decided to put these smaller pieces, as you can see, that I could just fit a Firelock game mini in between them. And that helps, you'll see in a minute when I tip them on the side, it keeps your mini in place when you're climbing up a steeper incline on this ramp here. And then I added 2 support beams on the bottom. I started making a frame with some of the bigger timbers. So this is an early stage where I got the 2 sides, and I'm just using hot glue to glue all this together. And then I'm going to move another set of frames up, and hot glue that on there. And you're just kind of building your way up. And those, by the way, those ramps are equal size. And then I made my 3rd one. Now it fits perfectly with the distance I needed to get to. You can see I added a lot more support beams on there just to add a little more strength. Now you can see I added all those different little sticks on there. I glued them on top of some of the timbers. So I'll show you in a minute here. I'm going to move my mini up the walkway here. So you can see that little stick that I glued on there holds the back of the mini, and then it leans forward into the other timbers. Now, you couldn't do this on a smooth surface, but on these timbers, it's perfect. And you can just move your guy up the walkway with, relatively no issue. Besides me dropping one there. But I just want to show you I can get all the way up the walkway. And it's wide enough you can put a couple of minis side by side. You get quite a few units. Like in the game of Blood and Plunder, you want to be able to move your entire unit up that walkway. So I've solved that problem. All right, so that's pretty much the assembly done. Now, there's a lot of repetitive in here, so this is a shorter video. Next week, we're going to do a painting tutorial, but I really kind of wanted to show you how everything turned out. So there's my 2 entranceways with the platforms I was talking about. And then we're moving on to, let's take a quick look at the ramp. I got a bunch of minis on it. You can see that they're all climbing up the ramp, leading to the second level where all the archers and riflemen are on the top level there. So let's take a look at the whole battlefield. Looks like we got some more native warriors coming out to face the, looks like the English are in the forest here. Looks like they got an artillery unit, got some infantry, and Benjamin Church got the legendary commander here. Just a different profile of the fort, what it looks like from the outside. More of an enemy perspective of the outside of the wall here from this angle. There's the water effects that we built on a previous episode. I think I need to do those water tiles still. I need to do some more water tiles, I think, on this channel. There's some Canadian militia coming up the wall to help the native warriors defend this fortification. I really enjoyed doing this project, and I imagine I'll get several hours of entertainment out of it. I can't wait to paint it and base it. And put the final touches on this. So maybe I might add some more details on some things, some bindings and stuff like that, just to make it look more rustic. Just take one more look at the 2 towers that we had at the main entranceway here. I really like how those turned out as well. All right, so that's pretty much a wrap on this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.